everyone. Welcome to our next class, how to open and market your Etsy shop. I'm very excited today. We have a special guest, Lauren Kilgore. Lauren, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for being here. So for this class, I'm going to give away a Christmas in July box. So all you have to do is participate in the chat on the Hoova app, and I will randomly pick a winner, and I will give them a Christmas in July box. So with that, Lauren, you can go ahead and take it away.
All right. Hi, guys. So thanks for joining me here today. I saw a lot of activity going on in the app and questions and people excited for this little session. So thank you for coming to watch. My name's Lauren Kilgore. So I have an Etsy shop. I am a wreath maker, but the principles of selling on Etsy are all the same. Doesn't matter what you make. I know you guys do sublimation and stuff. So, but again, the principles are all the same. So I teach creatives in all industries how to open and market their Etsy shops. I started mine back in 2014 and it's going really well. And I was able to quit my 9 to 5 last year. And now I do my Etsy shop and this full time. So I want to go through the basics of like how to open a shop. Like if that's just like your roadblock, like how to even get past opening it. I want to at least give you like some tips on how to open it, what parts to put in, and then what to do with it after that, so that at least you can get going, and then you can get some products added. I do have a Shopify site as well, but I still push Etsy. I still really think that Etsy is a great place for sellers, especially beginners, because it's got that built-in market for you. It's got built-in audience. It's like already done for you. It's plug and play. You just list your items and the website's already built out and you don't have to worry about, coding and themes and how to set it all up. Like it's already there for you. So I think it's a great way to go. If you've been thinking about opening a shop, I say do it. It does not have to be instead of anything you're already doing. You're already selling well at craft shows, Facebook, your own website, whatever. This is just another revenue stream and it's great way to diversify what you've got. So let me share. How do I share my screen? There we go. Okay. So this is how to open your Etsy shop in 10 simple steps. Okay. Let me see how to, there we go. Okay. Again, I'm Lauren Kilgore. I own the Wreath Shop Beautiful Mesh on Etsy. I'm also the owner now of Handmade Sellers University, where I teach creative entrepreneurs how to sell on Etsy. I am an Etsy U instructor. So we're handpicked by Etsy to help, give teachings and stuff like this to the community and other sellers. I have a shop that's in the top 0.1% of all shops on Etsy. And so I'm telling you all this just so that you know that you're in good hands here, okay? So I'm going to help you out. Again, Etsy is the best online marketplace for your creative business. Even if you sell well locally, you can expand your reach so much more by reaching more buyers, more zip codes, more income levels, more tastes, all kinds of different people all over the country or all over the world. So that's the advantage. They have over 80 million shoppers built in, and it's grown crazy, obviously, since the pandemic. But that's an advantage to you. There's a lot of sellers, but there's a lot of buyers, and the marketing is getting just more and more. So people know about Etsy a lot more than they used to. So I just want to give you the basics of like how to get this all set up. So step one, would be like, what paperwork do you need? Like, what do you need before you actually go to open up your shop? Most of this stuff isn't even required by Etsy. This is just stuff that's going to be required for you as a business owner. So you may already have all of that stuff because you already have your business. But if not, just make sure that you've got some of your ducks in a row. Listen, I was an accountant for 20 years, so all this stuff is I'm just a stickler for getting all the right paperwork. In the US and in most states, you will need a business license. Most states, not every state requires it, but just look into it in your city or your county to get a business license in order to be running your business out of your home or wherever it is. Register for state sales tax. And that will, the good advantage of that is you're going to be able to purchase your supplies from wholesalers tax free. But you do have to make sure that you're collecting tax whenever you're on Etsy. Etsy does it for most states now, but you make sure you're collecting tax at your craft shows and things like that. And then optionally, you can get a federal tax ID. It's free. It's easy to get. You can get it in just a couple minutes at irs.gov. Don't ever pay for one. If you ever get on, don't go to LegalZoom. Don't go to any site where it's asking you to pay because that's it's not. You don't have to pay for it. It's totally free. And that just masks your social security number. And now with the new regulations on 1099s, most places are going to ask for your social security number or a federal tax ID. So you can get one and then you don't have to worry about giving out your social everywhere. So again, the top two aren't even required by Etsy. They're not even going to ask for them, but they are going to ask for some form of tax ID, whether you want to give them your social or you want to give them your federal ID number. So now it's time to actually open your shop. Literally, you could just go to etsy.com and in the top right corner of the page, you'll see something that says like open a shop. But if you've never opened a shop before, you can get 40 free listings. If you go to this website, 40freelistings.com, you can get your first 40 listings for free. It works out to like $8. But you can literally open your shop for free. So if you've never opened a shop before, if you've never walked through any of the steps to do it, go there first, and then you can get those free listings. If not, if you already have a shop or if you've already, started the process, it won't work. But so just continue, in your account and open your shop. And Etsy's website does do a pretty good job of walking you through all the initial steps. It'll ask you, what language do you want? What currency do you use? What's your address? So literally all you have to do is click it. It's going to walk you through what it needs you to add. One of the most tricky parts probably is naming your shop. Now, a lot of you probably already have a business and already have a name, for that you use. So that can be good or bad, I suppose, because sometimes those names are already used on Etsy. So you would have to walk through the process of opening your shop to see if that name is available or not. It's one kind of tricky thing about Etsy is you can't quite tell if there's a shop that had a name before but has closed. So you feel like if you go and search for it on Etsy, you won't see it, but that's because the shop closed. But Etsy still won't release that name. So if it's ever been used before, that they're not going to release that name, and just because it just creates too much confusion. So you will have to kind of work with what you got. If you already have a shop name or a business name, see what you can do to get it on Etsy. If you have to add something to the end of it, you can do that. Sometimes people add designs or studio or company or something onto the end of their business name in order to have it at least somewhat similar to what they already have if your name by itself is already taken. For example, my shop name is Beautiful Mesh. So if I wanted to go on Etsy right now, Beautiful Mesh is already taken. I could say Beautiful Mesh Wreaths or Beautiful Mesh Designs or Beautiful Mesh CO or something. And that would be at least close to what my shop name is. There are some rules on how the shop names are written. It can only be 4 to 20 characters, so it's relatively short. There's no spaces, so I would advise you to use capitals in your shop name to differentiate the different words, because otherwise it all does run together. You can't use profanity. You can't use trademarked words. You can't use any punctuation. I would advise you to make sure that it's memorable and easy to spell. So, no weird spellings like K's instead of C's or Z's instead of S's. Because you know, when you get into those particulars, it's really hard to for people to remember your name, and it's hard for the. So your name should be something that you can shout across a crowded room, and somebody would understand what it is and be able to search for it relatively quickly. You don't want to have to go into explaining what it is, your name is. So you don't want to have to go, okay, it's beautiful mesh, but the S is really a Z and it has like a three at the end. And if you have to get into all that, it's going to be way too hard for people to remember. And make sure that your names are the same across all your social medias. This is going to help you to get found on Etsy, but also to get found on social media. If you're consistent with your branding and your name everywhere should be the same. The look of everything should be the same. When we get to your Facebook page, when we get to your Etsy shop, we should have the same look to all of it. That will definitely help people remember you and your brand. And then don't pick a name that boxes you in to certain types of products. A lot of times we start out making one thing and we transition to something else down the road, or we expand our product lines. And you don't want to box yourself in. Like, I probably don't want to have a shop that says beautiful mesh wreaths because then that boxes me into only making wreaths and people won't know that I make other things. So try not to box yourself in too much when you're thinking about a name. Listen, I know names are hard. It took me forever just to name my kids. So don't I feel you. If you're having difficulty there, just don't let it stop you. Pick something and go forward. You can always change it later. So then the next step is in the process Etsy's going to walk you through is to add an item. So you must add one item to your shop before it will open fully. It will not open unless you add something. You can always delete this later. You can always change it. But you have to have something. So have a picture on your phone or on your computer, something that you can put in there just temporarily, just so that you can get the shop open. And you won't have the best listing in the beginning, and that's okay. But you can always optimize it later. Sorry, I've been sick, and so I'm hoping that I wasn't going to cough. Hold on. Water. Okay. So you do have to open your shop with at least one item. There are certain things in the listing that you do have to go through in order to save it. Um, sorry. You do have to add at least one photo. Um, you do have to put in some kind of title. Um, you have to have a category. You have to have say whether you want it to automatically or manually renew. I just said everything to automatic. Um, sorry. You have to say what type of product it is, whether it's a physical product or a digital product. You will have to put in a description and then a few tags. Just look through the listing and whatever has that asterisk next to it, obviously those are the things that it's requiring you to put in. Goodness, I'm going to get through this. But yes, look through all the things that have an asterisk and just make sure you put something in there for now. We can always optimize it later, but you're going to have to just fill it all out. The next step is that you have to obviously add some payment and billing information. So make sure you have a credit card and your bank information on hand because you're going to need it for I think it's one of the last steps to fully opening your shop. You're going to need a credit card so that you can pay your fees. And then you're going to need your bank account so that Etsy can deposit money into your account for you. So after all of that is done, your shop is open. So literally just walk through the steps on Etsy, hit next, next, get to the next screens. It's going to tell you what to do. You add your listing, you add your billing and your payment information, and you're open. So then we get to like optimizing the shop, like perfecting it and making sure that it gets found. Okay. So besides the listing itself, there's some other things in your shop that you need to make sure that you're optimizing. The first would be your bio section. It's called an about section on Etsy, but it's essentially a bio. And this is meant to be um, background information of you, and but mostly your shop. We don't need your whole life story, but a history of why you created your shop and what inspires you and what you like to make, and those kinds of things will help you to personalize your shop and get people to really know, like, and trust you. And the other advantage is that just having this helps you rank higher in search. So Etsy wants you to fill this out. So as a bonus to you, they will rank you higher in search just for having it. So it's definitely not something you want to skip, because this is for the algorithm and for the benefit of your customers. Your customers will get to know you. They'll get to learn more about your products, learn bit more about your history, but also Etsy loves it because they know that people are more likely to buy from shops that have this filled out. Because nobody wants to come to a shop. Like, imagine walking into a shop and like everybody's nobody there. There's nobody you could talk to. It just like gives you a whole different vibe. You're not really sure like who owns the shop. Is this a real person? Am I going to get scammed here? So this really helps to instill trust. It makes the site more personable. It just makes it the transaction so much easier. So um again, Etsy really wants you to do this, and you should want to do it anyway, but Etsy really wants you to do it. So make sure that you fill it out. It's one of the sections that I think people forget the most on Etsy. When they ask me to review their shop, I'm like, why is my shop not selling more? I always look, do you have all these parts of your shop filled in? If not, we need to, that's step number one. The next section, it's pretty similar. It's right next to the bio, is policies. And this is another thing that people forget all the time. You got to set some policies. They're basically rules for your shop, for your transactions. Um you need to be clear in, do you take returns, and what happens if something is damaged, and you have to be more clear in your whole process and make sure that it's transparent to your customers. It is also one of those sections that just having it will give you a boost in search. So Etsy knows that, if somebody has policies and, rules set out, that the transaction again will go smoother. If there's any issues down the road, that there is, a set of clear rules that they can fall back on. So if the customer wants to return something and you have a no return policy, they can refer back to that. And it just avoids messy transactions and issues down the road with customers that have a problem with their order. So, and Etsy doesn't want to get in the middle of squabbles and messy transactions and whatnot. So they prefer that people have some rules set up at the beginning. So Etsy even provides a template for you. Literally, all you do is edit it and answer the questions that Etsy said. Do you want to take a return? Yes or no. How many days? Yes or no. Do you want to take exchanges? Yes or no. So you just fill out the template that they provide you, and then you can add in some more information below it in the little FAQ section. So if there's some custom specific information to your shop or your products, the way that they're made, um, you know, you can, custom orders. I'm sure you guys do a lot of custom orders. So how do you handle that if somebody wants to return a product or there's an issue with it or whatnot, you need to spell that out in your policies. So, again, make sure that that part is set up. Step number 8 would be shop photos. Now remember, customers buy from people, not businesses. So we need to see your face. We need to see a picture of you as the shop owner. There's a spot for that, and it says shop owner, and you need to put a picture of you in there. So we want to buy from you. We want to buy from, you know, this. We know that it's a person. It's not. This is not a scam. This is a real person behind the shop. This is the small business owner right here. And then you've got a spot for a logo, or I usually say like the logo or picture of one of your popular items, or something that represents, what it is you make. This could be a graphic, this could be a photo, or whatever. When you first start your Etsy shop, both of those have this like gray, like on Facebook, where if somebody doesn't have a profile picture and it's that gray shadowy picture, you kind of get a little bit like weirded out when you see that, right? I'm like, why do you not put in a profile picture? Is this a real person? Is this a scam? Like, what is going on here? Why did you not add a profile picture? So Etsy is the same way. If you don't add anything, there's these gray, shadowy stand-in pictures. Let's not leave those. Let's make sure that we are adding in. It just also looks so unprofessional if you don't fill them in. So put in the pictures of you and your logo. And then consider adding a banner to the top of your shop. Banners are optional, and there will be, if you don't put one in, there just won't be anything. So you don't have, it's not going to be like a gray picture or whatever. It's just nothing is there. But it really does, it's a lot of real estate at the top of your shop, and it can, you can showcase your products, you can showcase your brand, you can give some more information about, your shop with graphics and text and whatever, or you could just have, a carousel of your products. Um, I think it makes your shop look different than everybody else's if you have something there. Because let's face it, Etsy shops do start to, feel like they look all alike. So if you can put a banner at the top of your shop with different graphics and whatever, it kind of makes it look different than everybody else's. Now, I think shipping is one of the things that scares people the most when it comes to selling online versus selling locally. But honestly, shipping does not have to be scary at all. Um, Shipping costs, so if you haven't shipped before, are determined by the size of the box, the weight of the box, your zip code, and the recipient zip code. So there's a couple of factors that go in there. So that's why when I ship something and you ship something, it's going to be a slightly different amount. But you can kind of come to, will be like an average price. What I usually do is take the product that I have, package it in a box, make sure you're using a box that is not too big, because obviously the bigger it is, the more expensive it's going to cost, but not too small that you've compromised the product. If you need to put bubble wrap in there, extra packing materials, make sure that you pack it just like you would need to pack it to make sure that it's secure and nothing is going to get broken. And then find the smallest box for that. Don't go any larger. I always try and, I don't want it to move around too much in the box for one thing, but also I don't want to pay for more box if I don't need to. So package it up, weigh it, and then you can go to websites like Pirate Ship or Parcel Path, or even USPS.com, and put in your zip code, put in the size and weight of your box, and then just choose a zip code that's farthest away from you. I'm in Virginia. I always choose 90210 in California. I mean, because I watched 90210 when I was growing up, and that's the only zip code I know of in California. And so that's the one I pick, because I know that from here to California is probably the most expensive if my box is going to travel. And then based on that, I can figure out that's my most expensive And then I know I can pick something here on the East Coast and I know what's kind of like my least expensive. And then I can find a good average. And then I just reevaluate that periodically, so to make sure that I am charging enough for shipping, between the cost of the box, which have gone up recently, cost of tape, cost of bubble wrap, and shipping costs itself. So I make sure that I'm charging enough for all of those things. On Etsy, you can choose two different types of shipping profiles. So you can have it where Etsy calculates the shipping for you. You just have to put in the size and weight of the box so that Etsy knows what price to charge your customer. Or you can just put in a flat rate. So you can say everything in this product line ships for $10, no matter where it is across the country or whatever. Depending on your product, so one of those things might be better than the other. For larger products, it normally works out better to do just a flat rate because um, Etsy, the limitation is on Etsy, they don't do calculated shipping with anything but the post office. So they can't show you what UPS or FedEx rates would be. And so that sometimes that ends up charging your customer too much. So if you have really, really large packages, you might want to go with just a flat rate, fixed cost. If you have things that are smaller, you could maybe get away with doing a calculated shipping profile. And then you know for sure that the customer is charged enough, and you won't lose out. The only disadvantage there is, worrying about it charging too much. So, and or it being so high that it scares customers away. So, sometimes Etsy doesn't show UPS rates, and sometimes that can be cheaper than what Etsy can provide. So, you just have to know what it is you're shipping and what carriers you're using. So, step number 10, once you've got your shop open, you've added in your listing, you've added in your about section, your policies, your photos, you've perfected your shop itself, then it's time to turn to social media. I think a lot of a lot of people think, that you can just do Etsy by itself and not worry about social media. And you can, but you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You're leaving a lot of opportunity and sales on the table if you do that. Yes, you can optimize your shop and get going without any kind of presence, but in this day and age, it's really going to help you. And that doesn't mean that you have to like go live on Facebook all the time or you know show your face or what if you don't want to do that, but you do have some kind of presence for marketing your business. You can drive so much traffic for free, and I'm not talking about running ads and stuff. Like you can do so much free marketing just by posting regularly. um Post consistently, post daily, stay on brand with the things that you post, and you'll start to attract those types of followers. It's going to increase your brand awareness, which is the key right now. Just with so many different offers and businesses and shop names out there, and there's just so much information out there that if you can stay top of mind with your customers, that's going to help you get sales down the road. Even if they're not ready to buy right now, they've seen your stuff enough that they remember when it is they do want to buy something. Oh, I saw Lauren's thing the other day. I'm going to go, she makes such and such. I'm going to go order those now. So it's not always an immediate return, but it's definitely something that's going to keep you at the top of everyone's mind so that they remember you, remember your brand, remember what it is you make. So on Facebook, I post a couple times a day. On Instagram, usually just once a day. Pinterest, pinning a couple pins a day, making some idea pins. Now TikTok, trying to upload at least one video a day. That's what I do. I know I could be doing even more, but that's what I can handle at the moment. And so it's just at least being present every single day on all the platforms is really going to help you. And then when somebody goes looking for you or for your brand, they remember your name, you need to have a presence there. So even if you don't do a whole lot with it, just having an account reserved in your name, you've got a few pictures up or posts or whatever, they can find you, they can contact you if they want to. So make sure that you are taking advantage of that. So those are the 10 steps. I'm here to help you in every step of your Etsy journey, beyond these 10 steps, during these 10 steps, whatever, however it is you need my help. I have courses and help from opening a shop for total beginners to more advanced sellers who need help with like the social media marketing and advertising side. So you can find all that information on my website, which is laurenkilgore.com, or you can follow me on Facebook and TikTok is where I do most of my tips at Beautiful Mesh. So if Sprite has the questions that you guys had, we have some time left for some of the questions.
Yes. So what do you use for SEO?
So I use the programs that I use are mostly eRank. And they will there's a free version and there is a paid version, and it gives you information on how many times this keyword has been searched, what is its popularity, what's its competition. I use that a lot for SEO. Now I kind of don't use it as much because as I've been going along, I know kind of what works and what doesn't. I look into my stats in my Etsy shop, so I know what people are searching for and what they aren't. I can look into my Google Analytics to see what they're searching. And my products pretty much stay the same, so I can use sort of the same keywords.
And how much do listings cost?
Only 20 cents, and they last for 4 months. So an entire year is only 80 cents.
Everybody loves the 90210 zip code, just so you know.
Come on, we watched it, right?
Oh, yes.
It's still on somewhere.
Is it really?
I come across it on cable every once in a while.
Do you find that people are turned off by shipping costs? Is it better to just add the shipping cost into the price of the item?
It can be depending on how much your shipping is. Now, for me as a wreath maker, no, because my shipping is a wreath is so much that when I add it into the price of my item, it's like, whoa, your item is way inflated. But if you have something smaller, you guys probably have smaller items that the shipping isn't quite so bad, and it might be okay to hide it sort of in the price. So play around with it. It can do either way, but it kind of just depends on what your shipping costs are.
How many types of items do you recommend listing?
I mean, you could have as many as you wanted. I would just make sure that whatever you're doing, they're all kind of in the same realm, that you've got the same target market. So that all the ones that, like, if somebody comes to your shop, they don't see baby items and then like specialty knives or something. Like that would just be like a little bit different. So make sure that whatever you're selling is within the same sort of family of products, and then you could list as many different ones as you wanted.
So is there a transaction fee once you sell that Etsy takes for processing the payment?
Yeah, the processing payment fee is 3% plus 25 cents. I think that's what it is. 3.5%. Yeah, it's somewhere around there. It's pretty standard. And then Etsy's fee is now 6.5%. So it ends up being, close to 10% overall when you add in all the fees, but that's still cheaper than eBay, Amazon, Handmade, most websites. So,
are there any hidden fees?
nothing's hidden. Everything's disclosed upfront from Etsy. You just have to read the Etsy handbook, but those are the three main fees: a listing fee, a transaction fee to process the card, and then like Etsy's fees, because you're using their platform.
So if you have like a lot of different types of items, would you recommend having more than one shop?
Only if your items are totally different like totally different. Like if your target market for them is totally different, then maybe, but it's really hard to manage two shops. It's hard enough to manage one shop. So if you want to start getting into two, like it's going to be hard. So I would advise to keep one if you can, because I think it's going to be a lot easier.
As far as shipping overseas, what's that like?
I find that USPS Priority International works the best. I've tried FedEx International before, and that was like there was more paperwork involved. And Etsy prints out everything for you, so you don't have to do anything. What they even do is, I think for many of the products, like I just shipped some a wreath to Germany, and it first went to a processing facility. I'm not even sure where it was, somewhere in the US. And then from there, they slap the customs label on it and send it overseas. So, you know, sometimes they'll print out the customs label for you, and sometimes they'll send it to a local processing facility first. But it prints out what you need to do, and it'll tell you exactly what you need to do. So it's easy.
Does Etsy factor in the shipping supplies, like the box and the bubble wrap, when they calculate the shipping rate?
No, but there is a spot to put in a handling fee. So that's where you could add that stuff in. Um, so you could say, okay, Etsy, calculate the shipping, but tack on this handling fee. And the handling fee actually is whatever you put in there, the customer doesn't see it broken out. So you could put whatever you want in there, and the customer would just see shipping, and that's how much shipping is. But you know that it's broken out.
So I had a question to ask about competitiveness. When your product is compared to other similar products, is there something that, is there some way to make yourself stand out, or?
So yeah, I mean, if you search wreaths on Etsy, there's hundreds of thousands of wreaths on Etsy. But the thing is, like, I can sell better than people that are even more talented than me because of the SEO. So if I get my products seen more through the SEO, making sure my shop is optimized with all those things that I mentioned in those steps, making sure that I've got the right keywords, making sure that my title is, optimized, my tags are optimized. If all those things, if I've got all those things working for me, I can sell something better than, other shops with, with even, I mean, there's designers out there that I look up to, and I think, oh my gosh, they should be able to sell this in a heartbeat. And it's just because they don't know how it works. And so their things just don't literally get found. So nobody even sees them to buy them. So it's literally just trying to get your stuff in front of people, because if they can see it, then they'll buy it. But yeah, there is a lot of competition. But listen, as long as most people, I'm in the top 0.1% of shops on Etsy, which is crazy. And I think, yes, my shop is good, but also that's also like that because there's so many people on Etsy who do not do anything, who get there and just like throw their listings up there and walk away. So if you don't pay attention to how it works, and you don't learn how it works, and you don't pay attention to your SEO and stuff like that, you're going to be lost in the masses easily. But as long as you learn how it works, and you can separate yourself out.
And I noticed you said you talked about Google Analytics, which is a key. I mean, I know it's very, very hard to learn, but there are a lot of classes out there. Yeah, take a Google Analytics class, learn about keywords, learn about optimization, and
yeah.
And
it can show you so much more than, like, it's interesting because like Etsy has a stats, like it can show you some stuff, but Google Analytics can show you so much more. Like Etsy is like basic information, but Google Analytics can really drive down more like what page they saw this on, when they went to click, what exact words they put in that made them want, then purchased from. And yeah, it's like can drill down into all that specific info.
How do you find your Etsy ranking?
eRank will give it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, subscribing to eRank, and they have it. Because they're able to see all the shops.
Okay, let's see what else. Somebody asked, do you pay for SEO and Google Analytics? It's free. Google Analytics is actually free. It's just a difficult platform to learn, as is all things Google.
Yeah.
But it really is. I mean, it's probably the best thing from a marketing perspective. It is one of the best things to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, I've heard it costs less to ship in an envelope than a box. Do you know if that's true?
Yeah, I think it is true. But just have to be careful with whatever product is you have. If you don't want it breaking in a in an envelope or even a padded envelope, just be real careful.
What's Etsy University and how can they access it?
Etsy U is so I think I'm trying to think of what the website is. Um I'm not sure exactly what the website is, but they have where they have events and stuff. So at Etsy U are we're instructors that are handpicked by Etsy, and then we have like a special group that um, we have leaders that we can talk to, but also they give us special trainings and stuff so that we can then in even presentations and stuff like that, so that we can then go. They want us to go out onto YouTube and to Facebook and wherever, and give these presentations on their topics. But I can't remember what the site is for the events. But maybe if you Google Etsy U events, it might come up. I'm not sure.
What's the difference in E-Rank and Marmalade?
They're pretty much similar. I find that Marmalade's a little bit simpler with a little bit less information. But for some people, that's good because then they don't get distracted by all the graphs and all the other extraneous stuff. If you're somebody who really likes analytics and numbers and graphs and all kinds of trends and a whole bunch of other information, eRank's probably the way to go. But it all kind of depends. If you get lost in that, then maybe don't go that route. But they're essentially the same. Their data is coming from the same sources. So essentially, keyword wise, their data is the same.
This is a good one. So how does one do all social media? That seems like a lot of time. I know personally we use Hootsuite, and that way you can just do one post and it posts across multiple platforms. Here, you can hand it to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think, or just making sure that you're repurposing content and you're not like like you're not creating one thing for each. Sometimes like the platforms like a little bit different type of content, but I mean, repurposing as much as possible. I do have somebody, working for me now who does the social media or most of my social media for me. That was the first hire that I made once I became a business and had some profit, was to hire someone to help me because I knew how important being consistent on social media was. And I knew that if I did it myself, I probably wasn't not going to be as consistent as I needed to be. So I did hire someone to help with that. But yeah, repurposing, scheduling things out, batch process, sit down one day, make a whole bunch of videos or make a whole bunch of posts and schedule them out so that you're not coming in and out of the programs every single day.
Let's see. A lot of people are asking about your slides, which you guys can download those on the app underneath the video. You can see those and you can download them. And let's see. Do you have any tips on taking photographs of your listings?
So it obviously depends on what, for me, natural light is best. But for you guys, if you have smaller products, a light box or, making sure that you have some kind of professional lighting is better than overhead lighting. You need some kind of good lighting. You need a good background, which is either not clear, but like clean. Make sure that it's not cluttered in your background. Or what works probably really well for some of your sublimation products is to set it up in like a vignette, in like a little scene with props. Like those would be really good pictures for Etsy. I know Amazon Handmade likes that white background, but Etsy users really don't. They like seeing how this thing is used, and like where somebody would put it and how they would use it in its like natural habitat, I like to say. So set it up like in a little propped area. Just make sure that your product is front and center, and that's what people are focusing on.
So how do you change the order of your listing? So if you have certain things that you want listed at the top, how do you do things like that?
When you go to your shop, just click edit, and then right above your listings, in the right hand side, there'll be something that says rearrange, I think. If you click that, you can rearrange. Yeah, you can move everything on your screen around so that like which I usually do this time of year, make sure like now fall and Halloween is coming up at the top, and then all my July 4th and Chris, is our other seasons are down, so that yeah, people see the most recent stuff up top. It's a good idea to do.
All right. Well, I think that's it. So I would like to announce the winner of the Christmas in July box. And that winner is Akeisha Moore. So
Yay.
Akeisha, if you will email me, please, swood@condi.com. That's swood@condi.com. I will send you your Christmas in July box.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. And thank you so very much, Lauren. This was fantastic. And thank you for filling in at the last moment. I really, really, really appreciate it.
No problem.
You are a lifesaver. So yeah,
Great.
hopefully I'll see you again soon.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.